My final question for you tonight. I know President Trump is given a lot of credit for the economy being better while he was in office,
Yeah.
but debt went from what 17 to what maybe 19 to 27
Yeah, it did.
trillion. So, what would be done to address the debt to GDP ratio, which is ballooning past everyone's expectations? And if he got back in office, what would be done to make sure that is curtailed and that it doesn't go up another 32% in the first 4 years if he is back in office?
Well, first of all, most of President Trump's debt actually comes from COVID-19. That goes back to the stimulus packages, when the whole world was shut down. And, to be blunt, I think any president, whether it's Trump or Obama or Biden, or Bill Clinton or George W. Bush, they would have essentially done the same thing. So, and I think when you look at his debt burden, you also have to look about when it was accumulated. Like, not all of it, I'm not going to say all of it, but easily half, a little bit more than half of it was actually brought in during COVID-19. The projected budget deficit in his last year as president, it was projected to be around 400 billion, I think maybe 500 billion at the top. Obviously, that was blown wide open. What do we do today? This is going to be really important. The number one thing we got to do today, we do have to cut spending at the federal level, and we got to take it seriously. And I know that there's a lot of people who say, well, this person needs help, that person needs help. And I recognize that. But if we just keep spending at the rate we're spending right now, well, all you're going to do is continue to devalue the American dollar. And the same people who need help are the same people who will continue to fall behind. That's not a recipe for success. So you have to you have to level that off by stopping the overspending. President Trump is committed to that. The second thing is energy, because you need energy to then grow the economy more. And you also need to combine that with tax policy. So if you can now move your economy into a position where you're growing at 3 to 4% every single year, then the additional economic growth actually gives you the ability to now limit the amount that you borrow, and then you can start to get creative around the debt itself. Third thing about the debt, and this is the stuff where, and I'm gonna turn off the Trump surrogate hat now. I'm gonna just talk as me. We are going to have to address, and everybody in Washington knows it, even though they don't want to say it. But at some point, because both Social Security and Medicare go insolvent in 10 years, 9 years, really, you're going to have to address that. There are some very minor reforms that can be done where you can extend insolvency, which also helps us to put a cap on the overall national debt. So we're going to have to be responsible and get into some of that and not just fearmonger, because we're trying to actually save the programs. I know that my colleagues, we want to save these programs. We're not trying to end them. But if we do nothing, they're going to end themselves. Last point on national debt, it's really going to be a 20-year strategy. My career was in finance. So when you're looking at a debt burden this big, you're going to have, consistent budgeting discipline coupled with key reforms, coupled with economic growth, really over 20 to 25 years. Because the first part is you have to stabilize that debt so that you could take advantage of the savings in future years so you can begin to pay that down. That only comes if the American people choose to follow an economic agenda that gives us the strength and, frankly, the political will to get that done on Capitol Hill.
One quick follow-up. Do we have 20 years if our current payments are, 71 billion a month?
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, I look at the American economy is now 24, 25 trillion, somewhere around that. If you go back to it in terms of would I lend you money, a company probably could take on, probably 200% to 300% of its revenue in debt burden. We're not there yet. Now, I wouldn't touch it. I don't want to get there. I want to be honest. I don't want to get there, and I don't want to let anybody on Capitol Hill think we can get there. But can we survive where we are right now? Yes, we can. Are things going to get tough if we continue what we're doing? Yes, they will. And that's a bipartisan, nonpartisan statement. It will get worse. But we can sustain ourselves, but we got to start being smart. The thing about politics writ large that really pisses me off is that everybody wants to promise everybody everything, knowing that we can't deliver it.
Yeah.
And so let's just be real. We got to be smart. We are a great country. We can do a lot of things, but let's be smart about what we do. Let's stabilize our debt position. Let's get out of the position of having to grow it all the time. And then if there's something that comes up, like let's say we have to get involved in a conflict that we don't want to get involved in, or let's say you have a future pandemic that comes up, or a minor pandemic, not a major one like COVID-19. Or say, right now you have North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee dealing with Hurricane Helene fallout, Hurricane Milton, or the wildfires out in Maui.
Yeah.
If you need to address that stuff, then you have to pay for that. You have to go into your operations and pull that money from somewhere. You guys, running businesses out there, that's what you do. If something's going wrong, you just can't run to the bank every single time. Sometimes you got to look in your operations and say, all right, well, look, I got to move this money for 2 to 3 months to take care of this emergency, and then we'll smooth it out. Well, we have to start doing that same thing at the federal level. We don't do that. And so, but it's also because, for our politicians, the voters aren't demanding that we do that. And I think the voters really have to start demanding that we stop just putting everything on the credit card, because that sounds good, to be blunt, if you're 75 or if you're 60, because you're not going to be around to pay for it. But if you're 45, I'm 45, I'm going to be around to pay for it. My kids are 21, 17, 13. They're around to pay for it. It's not acceptable to me. And so we just have to be smart about it.
Well, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Man.
Appreciate you.
Yes, thank you for tapping in with us and giving a perspective from the Republican side of the aisle. I think that for a lot of people, this might be the first time that they've heard you in long form conversation. Same thing that we had with Tim Scott. We had a long form conversation. He was saying a lot of times he just gets caught up in just bits and pieces for hot takes. But I think I think it's
He gives those.
yeah, I think it's important is to have a full perspective on both sides, and we don't need to go viral from just having asking you if you think that she's black or not. I don't think that that's something that's.
But if you have insight,
she is. It's all good, man.
my brother.
But I appreciate.
I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last thing I'll say, thank you for just letting me talk and actually explain myself. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
All right.
No problem.
Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Right, man. Be blessed.
We didn't get the Breakfast Club energy, so I'm happy. You know what I mean? A little peaceful talk.
Yeah, for sure. It's a safe space, man. I think it's a safe space that we've been able to curate for everybody, but we're not gotcha journalists.
Yeah.
We're not trying to, put somebody in an uncomfortable situation. We might ask hard questions, but we answer the questions,
Yeah, I think you provide a platform where people can answer questions, and the audience who listens to the answers can decide on whether they believe it or not, and they can fact check it if they want and choose who they're going to vote for or not. But these are the people that are in office. These are not just these are the people in their districts, in their counties, and these are the people that are elected officials. So
you can make it.
He was candid, incredibly candid. To give context, when Bill Clinton left office, GDP was at 54%. We're almost at 130%. George Bush would be rolling over in his political grave to see GDP this fucking high. To get to 200%.
Is George Bush dead?
No,
yeah, the dad.
The senior.
Dad died.
Senior.
Yeah. Well, what is it? George H? He's George H, and then the other one's George W.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't want to be junior.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to the Bush family. I'm in Texas, so, I get a little political tea my way sometime, but GDP is insane right now. We're paying $2 billion a day in debt servicing, $72 billion a month. But you can't write off them University of Phoenix loans for African American studies and linguistic programming. Yeah. Tough, man. It's a tough time we're in.
Tough times that we're in. For all you people that said we're on the Democratic payroll.
Yeah, y'all keep saying that. And if so, I would have waved that fucking wire in y'all face for so long. I'd be like P.D. Pablo waving that wire in y'all face.
South Carolina.
Hey, trust me. My number too high. But if they send it,
Democratic,
I'll spin it. I'll ride around and I get it. Shout to y'all.